Hey guys, Christina here, and today I want to give you a look at the options for homeschooling in Alberta. It can be overwhelming and confusing because there are a number of different options and choices, and because homeschooling, that word means different things depending where you live, it can be kind of confusing. So hopefully this will help simplify it. Now, disclaimer, I am not affiliated with the government or the Ministry of Education in any way, any school boards or supervising authorities. I'm just a mom. I've homeschooled here in Alberta. This will be our 5th year this fall. I'll have a child in preschool, grade 2, grades 5, 6, and 8 this coming fall. And I just know it can be confusing when you're trying to sort this out in the beginning. So I've made some graphics here. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the first one. So in Alberta, they offer parent-led home education. So in order to do this, you register with a supervising authority. You design your own learning plan. Now, within the learning plan, you have two options. You can choose the schedule of learning outcomes, which is a list of things you have to accomplish by the time the child graduates, or you can follow the Alberta Program of Study Outcomes. And that's what children in school do. So you can homeschool and teach your child exactly the same thing they would be learning as if they were in school, every single subject, hitting all those points that you need to. The learning plan includes the curriculum, the delivery method, evaluation method, resources that you're going to use, and basic things you're going to cover. Lots of parents freak out a bit about writing the program plan, but don't worry, because you have a facilitator that you work with. This is a registered teacher that can help you build your program plan. They also have, typically the supervising authority has templates and they have examples, so they can help you with that. Now that facilitator also comes to visit you twice a year. Usually it's in your home, or you can meet at like the library or a coffee shop if you want. They also keep in touch via phone and email. They're available to answer questions. Mine typically calls 2 or 3 times a year and emails once or twice a year. They're always available to you and they're there to help you. You are eligible for up to $850 in reimbursement for educational expenses. The government has a general funding guideline, what is and is not allowed, and then each supervising authority should have their own funding manual because some are a tiny bit different. Some have caps on like technology can only be 50%, sports can only be 50%, paper, games, pens, curriculum, all of those things. Now, new this fall, the government is offering another option where you register directly with the Ministry of Education and you design your learning plan and submit it to them. That's it. So basically you're notifying them. There's no funding, there's no visits, but that is another option. Now, parent-led home education, it often goes by other names, things like traditional, parent-directed, parent-controlled, or homeschooling. But this is what the government considers to be homeschooling in Alberta. So when you see statistics like 5,000 families in Alberta homeschool, families that are enrolled in this program are the only ones who are counted as homeschoolers. So then, there's another section which is called Teacher-Led Distance Education. And within this, there are two options. The first is distance education. You register with a supervising school. The curriculum, materials, the schedule, the evaluation, everything is provided for you. It is taught by the teacher or teachers, sometimes they have one for each subject for the child. And any help or completion is the teacher's responsibility. So this is basically school at home, where the interaction is between the student and the teacher. The parent has very little interaction or responsibility within this role. Other option is called shared responsibility. This is school controlled. So it's a mix of that home education and teacher-led. It can be a minimum of 20-80% either way. You do still have your 2 facilitator visits a year, and you still work with a facilitator for the home education part only. Reimbursement eligibility is based on the percentage of home education. So if you did 50% teacher-led, 50% home education, you'd be eligible for up to half of that $850. And the school would control the spending. So with home education or homeschooling, parents can buy things and then they get reimbursed. With anything that is school controlled, this money cannot come to the parents. So you have to go to the school, request they buy something, and then they buy it for you. Sometimes these are called aligned, teacher directed, correspondence, online, school at home, blended, print-based, virtual school. There's a lot of names for these ones. Now, it's typically not recommended that children in the lower grades do the distance education because, as you can imagine, that relationship through either paper or computer with a teacher it doesn't really work for younger children. There are some areas in the province that offer the shared responsibility program in person. What that means is that a child will go to school 2 or 3 days a week and obtain that teacher-led courses, and then they stay home the other days and do that home education piece on the days that they're home. Now, with both teacher-led distance education as well as the parent-led home education, you can choose any school board that offers it or supervising authority that offers it in the province. That means you do not have to go to your local school board. You can go to any what's called a non-resident school board and register your children. If you have multiple children, you don't have to register them all in one place. You can choose a different program for a different child. You can be with a different school board or supervising authority for each child. So now there may be another option. This year, some school districts, school boards, schools have mentioned that they're going to do an online learning program. I can't say much about that because I don't know much about it. Honestly, nobody does. I think that the teachers themselves in schools, they don't know what that's going to look like. My gut says it's going to be very close to the teacher-led distance education, but in the younger grades, it's going to have a lot more parental involvement. But honestly, nobody knows what that's going to look like in terms of even funding, courses, any of that. So if you decide your child is not going to go to school, they're going to do this, a few things to note. One, every child in Alberta has to be registered somewhere. So you have to choose one option and register them. Now, if you want to make the decision, these are the steps I recommend. Choose a program. So look at those options you have. Choose the program that's going to work best for your family. There are a lot of pros and cons to all of them. With parent responsibility, you have a lot more freedom. You have your own schedule. You don't have to worry about school breaks. You can go child interest-led or unschooling if you want, or you can follow the same thing kids are doing in school. With the teacher-led, it's more structured. It's more you're following the school schedule. So if you have a child who attends school, that might be a really good option for your family so they have the same weeks off during the school year. Next, you want to choose a school or supervising authority. So once you know what program, you can look for which ones offer it. Then you can narrow down the list. There are public, there are private, there's secular, there's religious. You can choose kind of based on that, dwindle it down, and then contact the boards, talk to them, ask them lots of questions, and figure out what's going to work best for your family. One thing I do want to note here, I've seen a lot of people ask about get-togethers or sports. It's been my experience that most people get together with people in their area, separate from their supervising authority or school board. So maybe that's really important to you, but maybe there's more activities in your area, even though a board doesn't offer it. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the third thing you need to do is register. There is paperwork you need to do, but whoever you decide to go with, they can help you fill out the paperwork. You have until the last business day in September to register your child. That's when the funding is assigned for the year. Now there are boards or school authorities that are called rescue boards. They will take your student if you want to register for homeschooling past that date. However, your choice will be limited because they don't receive any funding at that point, and sometimes they just won't accept students. You also may have to pay a fee for the facilitator at that point as well. So I really hope that that has helped. If you're still confused, I understand. It can be confusing. It takes time to figure this out. Go ahead and leave me comments down below or questions. I'm more than happy to try and answer them for you. I would say, my personal opinion, if you're interested, if you have a child grade 7 or under, go for parent-led, because then you can still do what the kids are doing in school if you want to, but if it's not working, you have other options. If you have a child grade 8 and up who wants to be doing the exact same thing as their peers in school, they're pretty self-motivated, they're kind of an average student, then go for the teacher-led, and they will be doing the same things on their own. If you have a child in grade 8 and up who is either dealing with some challenges or is advanced or more a hands-on learner or just really self-motivated, go with the parent-led. Again, it gives you so many more options. Hopefully this has helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below and I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, I hope this finds you having a great day. Take care.